Hi, I'm Lindsay Bronca from Cork'd, and tonight we are interviewing Cliff Rames. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Cliff. I currently work on a project called Wines of Croatia. I've been a guest on Gary Vaynerchuk's show, Wine Library TV, episode 798. This is my love, this is my passion, talking about Croatian wines, and I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit more, something you may not know about, maybe you know a little bit about, but Croatia is an emerging region of Central Europe, across the Adriatic Sea from Italy, just south of Austria and Slovenia, and to the west of Hungary.
And are Croatian wines making a stamp here in the United States?
Not quite yet. I mean, most people, if you say Croatian wine, first of all, they're going to say, where's Croatia? And second, they're going to go, do they make wine there? And the answer to question one is, as I said, Croatia is in Central Europe. It's north of Greece, which is a great emerging region. We're showing great wines. So if you follow the sort of Adriatic Sea up from Greece, going northwards towards Venice, you would come upon Croatia. Secondly, Croatia is an emerging wine region that makes wine. They've been making wines since the times of the Greeks, times of the Romans, times of the Venetians. All of these populations who have cycled through the region have left their impact on winemaking in the region. But most people don't know of Croatia as a winemaking region. So in a way, it's a new region, but yet it's a region with a long history of winemaking. So much so that they still today find clay amphoras in the Adriatic Sea off the coast of Croatia that were once used for transporting wine during the Roman times.
Okay, and I know there are some exciting developments going on in Croatia with regards to winemaking, so why don't you tell us what's going on?
Well, let me just start by saying that Croatia emerged out of communist Yugoslavia in 1991. Up until that time, winemaking in Croatia was really bad. Most winemaking was done through cooperatives from grapes that were grown and produced and sold by the pound or the kilo rather than by the quality. So winemaking was not to be discussed at that point. But since then, a lot of these producers have taken back their vineyards from the cooperatives and are now producing their own wines with their family name labels and from their own wineries, hand-picked grapes from their own vineyards. The potential of this terroir has been recently recognized by a couple of key people who you may recognize their names. One is Joe Bastianic, Lydia Bastianic's son, Joe, who produces wine now under his own label, Bastianic. He recently started a project in Croatia, working with 3 Croatian winemakers. They're producing a joint wine from Croatia called Made Bako. And the name consists of the first 2 letters of each winemaker's name. So Made Bako, Joe Bastianic is the third syllable in that name. They're producing a Malvasia Istriana. Malvasia Istriana is a native variety of the northern coastal Croatia region. That wine will be coming on the U.S. market later this year. 12,000 bottles are due to arrive through Joe Bastianic's restaurant and distribution network. The other really exciting thing that just happened, and this just happened last week, is Michel Rolland, the famous French enologist, winemaker, consultant, was in Croatia, was totally blown away by what he saw, totally in love with wine and the terroir of Croatia. He's now taking on a project of consulting for a prominent winery in Croatia. After he publicly said that he didn't want to take on any new projects, he made an exception for Croatia and just said in an interview with the Croatian press that if we can't make great wine from Croatia, he is changing his career. So this, for me, is a great endorsement. It's a great endorsement of something I already knew, that the potential for great wine from Croatia, the potential for great terroir, an expression of terroir through wines from Croatia is there. It just needs to be nurtured and introduced to people here. and around the world.
So clearly the terroir is there. It sounds like the winemaking is really coming along, and the history, if nothing else, is really something that's spoken for. I know that there's something really exciting that has been found with Zinfandel. Why don't you tell everyone what that is?
Totally exciting. Maybe most viewers don't know this, but Zinfandel, the grape that we know and love from Napa Valley, California, is actually not indigenous to the United States or Napa Valley. It's indigenous to Croatia. And how do we know this? We know this through DNA profiling, which, yes, does also apply to grapes. And it's actually a very exciting field right now as amphilographers try to discover where certain grapes come from. And through this process of DNA cross-referencing and DNA analysis, they've discovered that Zinfandel originated in Croatia, where it was a grape called Srljenjak Kaštelanski, which I don't expect anybody to remember, and you won't be quizzed. But Srljenjak Kaštelanski was an ancient grape from Croatia, which eventually crossbred with another indigenous grape called Dobrocic. So you have Srljenjak and Dobrocic. They fell in love, made it, and produced an offspring called Plavac Mali, which is now the most widely planted grape in Croatia. Plavac Mali is the son of Zinfandel. So that original DNA material that linked Zinfandel to Croatia still existed in Croatia, which is an important thing to remember. The other exciting thing that just recently happened with DNA profiling is that it was discovered that the mother of Chardonnay, which everybody thinks is French, but most people don't know that Chardonnay is half Croatian. The mother grape of Chardonnay, which is a grape called Gulez Blanc, is an indigenous grape to Croatia, known in Croatia as Štajerski Balina. Štajerski Balina eventually made its way to France, where it became known as Gulez Blanc. Gulez Blanc then made it with Pinot Noir, and its offspring was Chardonnay.
I love the pride. I love the pride. Okay, last question.
Yes.
How much would we have to spend to get a great bottle of Croatian wine?
Unfortunately, at this moment, Croatian wines are not cheap, because again, remember, Croatia is a tiny, tiny country. It's 4.5 million people. The vineyard area of Croatia constitutes only about less than 1% of the total area of territory of Croatia. So these are all hand-harvested grapes, family-run estates. These are not huge cooperatives producing millions of bottles. They're producing thousands of bottles, maybe at the most 100,000. So these wines are not cheap at the moment. You may have to spend anywhere from $25 to $40 to get a really nice bottle. But these bottles are going to be unique. And that's the important thing to remember. They're going to be unlike anything else you may have tasted. They're going to be full of terroir, full of an expression of a place that you haven't yet tasted, grapes that you have not yet tasted. That means Srljenjak Kaštelanski, Plavac Mali, Graševina, Žlatina, Malvazija Istriana. I mean, add them to your list because they're coming and you need to taste them.
Thanks so much, Cliff.
You're welcome. My pleasure.